Hey everyone! Hi, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. I am coming to you with a video of the most incredible thing that has ever happened to me. And I want to share that story with you, and I want to give you some context. So, a lot of folks know that I am a medium and I work with spirit. Some people will believe it, some people won't. Doesn't matter to me. I make it available for lots of folks to come see me do my thing in public. You know, my work and what I do speaks for itself. That is a really interesting thing to consider, especially because we can often worry about what people think about our lives and our paths, but once we know the truth with a big T, once we know the truth, we're unshakable. Once we know the truth of who we are, what's going on around us, that can never be taken away from us. I want to tell you about something that happened to me that was beyond doubt. In my work as a medium, working with spirit, working with the dead, I have encountered something really funny to me, and it just didn't make sense. I can kind of tell when spirits are Catholic, or were Catholic, and that is perplexing to me. They kind of have a smell or a sense around them. And then, I can kind of get that same flavor from spirits if they were particularly spiritual, of love and of grace. Most of that energy I feel comes from Catholics, but I have felt it from people who were Methodists, people who were Baptists, people who weren't of a particular religion, but just very spiritual. And I realized that it wasn't the Catholic thing that I was picking up on. It wasn't even the Christian thing that I was picking up on. It was this sense of love. Like love. Love not with any agenda, unconditional love, compassion and grace. That energy to me felt like the Virgin Mary. Now, I wasn't born with religion. Didn't have Christianity, didn't have Catholicism, but it felt very much like the most fundamental primal love that a person could experience, the love of a mother. And through my experience, I kept feeling that energy of that love as a rose. Now, I'm in my parents' backyard, and I came here specifically because my mom's rose bushes are in bloom, and I'm getting pricked in the back by these thorns because I wanted to get them in this shot. Because this rose energy, this love and this grace and this compassion, I was picking it up, right? And I don't know what what I'm channeling outside of when I do my work. Everything and everyone that comes through me comes through from a place of love and compassion. Even the messages that are hard to hear, the pull your head out of your ass kind of messages. And we all need those from time to time. And my mom, my grandma, my father even has given me those tough love messages. Hey, we love you. Pull your head out of your ass. We get that a lot. This energy of the rose, though, was like anything that I had ever felt. And it was that pure love and that pure grace and that pure compassion. And I've been working with it. I've been leaning into it. I can kind of smell in the way I smell things. That energy around spirits, around people. And a lot of folks in this world are walking around with that energy of the rose. Lots of moms, but it's not particularly to females, right? It's not particular to females whatsoever. Plenty of men, plenty of dads can have that real love, compassion, grace, energy. Just feel it more in moms. Just, because that's the history that we have. Moms would fall more historically into that nurturing role. Doesn't mean dads can't nurture. So here I am, just going through life, exploring the idea of the Great Mother and how this spirit, I don't believe, is the mother of Jesus. I believe if the mother of Jesus was a thing, for real, historical, that this Mother Mary was just a daughter, if you will, of the Great Mother, as we all are children of the Great Mother. This idea of the Great Mother, A lot of people would call her Santa Muerte, Mother Death. A lot of people would name her Hecate or Isis, Freya. These could all be iterations of the same loving mother energy. Could be. I don't know. I know that these grand spirits exist outside of our best capacity to understand them. Now, we're limited here in our human condition. My argument, though, that if I ever were to give God with a big G a gender, it'd be a woman. And the reason that I say that is, look at science. The beginning of the universe comes from a big bang. What's the big bang but a big birth? Everything that comes into creation is born into creation, even the first spark of the big bang. The big bang, to me, was the big birth, which means everything comes from a womb, right? That's another conversation. In my work, this idea of the great rose, the great love, the great mother, very prevalent, and especially in the messages that I deliver. The messages that I deliver and bring to people are very much focused on love, balance, clarity, peace, balance, right? All the things that a healthy parent would want for us. This energy has been so significant to my life and the path that I lead and what I do that I kind of devoted myself to that love. I have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rose tattoo. This beautiful, beautiful rose tattoo indicates that connection to that love and that grace and all the work that I do in regards, we box ourselves in when we call love Mary, when we call it Isis or Freya or Artemis or Demeter or any of these great big mother figures. And that's not to say they don't exist individually, and that's not to say that they aren't all the same, right? Maybe like a jewel, different faces to the same jewel. Doesn't really matter, because ultimately love is the universal language. The rose is the universal language. Why? Well, we're all a result of the stories that we're taught to believe. And if you were born, let's say, in a tribal culture in the Amazon jungle, even today, if you were born in a tribal culture and you had no idea who Jesus was, because nobody told you who Jesus was, you wouldn't know Jesus, pretty sure, but you would know love. You would. You'd know that idea of the rose. And as soon as we have something to love, we have something to protect. That helps me to understand the other big energy that helps me do what I do. That Michael energy, Michael the Archangel, Thor, the god with the hammer. To me, it is the thorn to the rose. As soon as we have something to love, we have something to protect. Yes. That is, to me, the idea of the rose and the thorn. The love and the compassion, the innocence, the vulnerability, and the thorn, the need to protect it. Now, I have these thorns in my back, and there's nothing wrong with thorns until you get too close to them. That's this. You know the energy of the rose if you've ever loved a child, or anyone. And you know the energy of the thorn if you've ever known yourself to have the capacity to kill for that person. I can safely say that anybody who has a child, that loves that child, would kill for that child. That is equally the rose and the thorn. This philosophy is helpful to me because it removes, essentially, the idea of the more nurturing, receptive energy of the rose and the more assertive, protective energy of the thorn. It removes it, removes me from dogma, removes me from a particular religion, Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism. It removes me from that sort of stuff. Which, what's the universal language? Love. If you have something to love, you're going to protect it. The rose and the thorn. That's my interpretation of the great all, if you will, and that's helped me. And now we come to the miracle that I've experienced. So I do all sorts of things, and I make sure that I get rest, and I have a handful of family members that aren't family. You know, we like to say chosen family, if you will. So I've got my family that I love dearly, my husband, my child, my parents, you know, everybody that I would consider family. And then I have a handful of friends that are absolutely family. And these are people that I love dearly, and these are people that I wouldn't have a problem killing for, right? If put into that situation. You know what I mean? So this is that chosen family. Isaac and I have a friend named Angie. And Angie lives on the other side of the state. She lives in South Hero, Grand Isle area on the lakes. And Monday, we decided to go see her. She'd had some, you know, stuff happen in life, and, you know, it was just good to have some friends, right? So we're like, we're going to go over. Now I want to tell you the story of that day. Currently in my life, I have really had the urge to serve, right? I want to do my thing, and I want to help charities and nonprofits, and I've got a lot of stuff in that aspect in the works. If you have a charity or a nonprofit that you'd like a guy like me to raise some money for, let me know, because I'd love to help. And I was really overcome with my life. Here I am, driving through Danville, Vermont, on the way to Burlington area to see our friend Angie, and I'm with Isaac, my husband, and I'm like driving, and I am so overcome with the beauty of my life. So overcome with the beauty of my life because, like, I literally have gifts where I can stand in front of people and not only show them this love, show them tangible evidence of their spirits and their loved ones carrying on, but I can make a lot of money for some businesses and some vulnerable folks that need it. I am so touched with my life, so blessed, and so overcome that I was crying literal tears of joy. Now, we're going to meet Angie in Burlington, and we're kind of figuring it out on the way. We just know that we're going to meet over that way and just hang out, have some fun on the lake. So we were in Burlington probably 30-40 minutes before Angie was going to meet us, and we decided to meet at the Earth Clock. In Burlington, there is what's called the Earth Clock. It's a stone circle built by a fellow named Ivan. One of the last ones he built, I guess, before he passed away. I'm not really sure on the chronological order of that stuff. When we got out of the car, and just gotta, you know, be mindful of the synchronicities and follow me here on this stuff. When we got out of the car, I was, you know, saw some fallen oak leaves, and I was just thinking about, you know, oak, its connection to Jupiter, right, or Zeus, the great god, and, you know, oak trees and druids, and I was just, passing through my mind on this. On our way to the Earth Clock, on the bike path that gets you there, I walked through a section of shade by some empty benches, and I just sat for a moment. And I, like, stopped Isaac, and I was like, stop, we gotta stop right now, and we're gonna sit. And I had what you could call the chef's kiss of existence. I had a moment of serene paradise. I was on Lake Champlain with this blue, crystally water, with the beach, with people laughing and swimming, and then people on the lawn having lunch and being friends and just love. And it was a perfect temperature, right? It was like 70 degrees. The sun was shining. I was sitting in the shade. The sun was coming through the shade. I mean, if you could imagine the most perfect moment in time, I had it with my loved one. So here I am in this moment going, okay, June 20th, 2022, I'm going to remember this the rest of my life as the most perfect time. Like, when I can think of paradise, I'm going to think of that moment on that bench with my husband in the most perfect place that I can think of. And then a weird thing happened to me. I got a message from a friend of mine named Jessica. She's a hell of a tarot reader in the Midwest. And she sent me this picture. She goes, I'm just reading, and I saw this and I thought of you. And it was a picture of a book she was reading, and there was a paragraph about Jupiter and oak and druids, and I'm like, I cannot even believe this. So I'm telling her, I'm like, you have no idea what this means to me right now in this moment. So incredible synchronicity. Then Angie shows up. We go for coffee. That's what we're doing, right? And we're sitting there just kind of shooting the shit, having a coffee, right? Talking about stuff, seeing each other, right? Friends like friends do. And then I had something hit me. Boom. I'm kind of like an ideas guy. Like have a lot of ideas and things I want to do, and I don't have enough time or resources or energy to do it. And I've had this really, really incredible idea that I've wanted to get off the ground, but no resources, no time to do it. And I kind of like put a pin in it, right? Maybe in 5 years when I have more time or energy. And Angie has a lot of unbelievable talents, and she has a space in her life to take over this project. And I cannot believe this project, this thing that I wanted to get off the ground, that I'm sure I talked to her about. I can't believe this hadn't dawned on me before. And I said, Angie, please come be part of Deep Earth Arts. And please help us with this project. And it was everything that she could have ever wanted to have done. It was one of the most incredible serendipitous things that had ever happened, because we had this need to do big things, and we have this person who has everything. It was just perfectly lined up. And so we were like, whoa, right? And then all of a sudden, because it fits so well, all of a sudden it was like idea and idea and idea and idea and idea. And it was just inspiration, right? And after coffee, we were going to go to another beach called Red Rocks. So Red Rocks is in Burlington. Never been there before, which was weird because we'd been to Burlington a lot. So we like go to Red Rocks and just drive in, and I see this little sign for a thrift store. And I'm like, okay, thrift store. I've been looking for a thrift store because weirdly I want a statue of Mary. Like I want a statue of Mary or the Great Mother, right? And I want it to be used. I don't want it to be new because you can buy new statues anywhere. But there's a statue of Mary out there for me somewhere. I used one. I'll find it. So I saw this little thrift store, and I'm like, I bet I could get it. You know, I just saw a sign, thrift store, Tuesday and Thursday. It's like, I looked at it, and I was like, I bet I could get a statue of Mary there. I don't know why I could feel that, but I bet I could. And then I look over, and I see a cross. I'm like, oh, it's a Catholic thrift store. They probably have something like that. But we were there on a Monday, and they were only open on Tuesday and Thursday. So I was like, that's why I was feeling that, right? Because that's kind of what I do. I feel things. Go to Red Rocks, the beach. Wonderful little park getting in there. It wasn't as great of a beach as North Beach. Isaac and I really like North Beach, and it wasn't that great of a beach. It was great, right? But we wanted to go swim in North Beach, and Isaac did too. And Isaac was resting, he's kind of laying down, and Angie and I are like on fire, right? We're talking about these wonderful ideas and these things, and the people we can get involved, all right, all of this wonderful stuff. And it's a big deal. The pieces that came together, this thing that we want to build, and Angie, those two things coming together, all I can say is watch out and see what happens. Big things. We're not going to talk about it right now because it's not appropriate, right? Because it's still a thing that's kind of in its incubation stage. But this is mind-blowing because Angie was just in a space where she needed something like this. She needed something like this. She did. She just needed, some direction, some purpose, some things that she could do with her stuff. It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It all fit. So we're in that space, and we're going to go to North Beach. That's what we decided to do. At that point in the day, not much of a schedule. We're going to go to North Beach, and we're really excited. And as we're driving away from Red Rocks, I get this thought. I'm like, Angie, now follow me here because this is where it gets really, really, really peculiar. Angie, to make this real, you got to tell your best friend from like 6th grade. Like, you have to tell somebody, but you got to tell your best friend from 6th grade. And I don't know who that is, right? You do. But there's something, she's like, well, the person who I would think it was, she's not in a great space. I'm not sure what she would, do with this, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I don't know. It's like 6th grade. You got a best friend in 6th grade. And she's like, whoa. 6th grade was when I got kicked out of Catholic school. Catholic school was a big deal for Angie growing up. As soon as we said this, as soon as I saw this, I'm driving in Burlington, going from Red Rocks to North Beach. That's all we're doing. And I look over to my left, and I see, in a park, a statue of Mary. At St. Anthony's in Burlington, and behind the church. We didn't see it pulling in. We saw it going out. There's a statue of Mary. And I'm like, This is just too weird. Like, to find this in this moment, knowing that all this stuff is kind of going on in this way. Like, this is bizarre. Now, before I left for the day, what I decided to do, just on a whim, is pull all of the dried dead roses out of our house. We got like these vases and hanging roses, and we just like have roses all the time, and we save them and dry them. So I had this like box of dried roses in the back seat, and I said, we're just gonna stop and lay some roses out, and, say some prayers, what have you. Not a big deal. Both Isaac and Angie are into it, because both Isaac and Angie have had their own experiences with this version of this mother energy, this divine love, this divine grace. Okay, so this is what we do. We get out. Isaac places 3 roses down. Angie and I walk up, and I feel the most indescribable sense of peace. I can't describe it. And I just got a single message. Lay your burdens down. Give me your burdens. That's it. No like high platitudes, no like, no, it's just give them to me. Lay them down. That's what I did. Laid the roses down. Angie did too. On the hem of this Mary statue, on the hem of her dress, were roses. And then we had set our roses down, and we're just standing there under these trees, kind of like weather like right now. And then we hear a crow. And a crow over our head flies into the trees, and then another crow, and another crow, and another crow, and another crow. And I can't describe to you what happened here. Crow after crow after crow after crow after crow. We had probably 20 to 30 crows over our heads, squawking, not fighting, circling, screaming, cawing, circling, hopping into trees, flapping their wings. It was literally the most miraculous thing I had ever seen. So miraculous, I couldn't help but cry. I'm not ashamed to admit that in any way. Here's Isaac and here's Angie, here's me. We have laid roses at the feet of this statue, and the most incredible display of natural magic, like crows, or birds, all of it. Make of that what you will, but it has happened. That was Monday, June 20th. And then look at our week. Look at our week. Look at what happened. For the longest time, since I have felt this energy of divine grace, masculine, feminine, doesn't matter, divine grace, it has absolutely blown me away that we do not have medical facilities, simple medical facilities devoted to the health of women. And then there's a slippery slope there, right? All humans, right? And then we can talk about, there's lots of conversations to be had about for-profit medical stuff, the horror that comes along with for-profit medical industries. There was something in the past, in the ancient world, where it was like a temple and a medical facility were kind of the same thing. Because the fact that we cannot, as a species or a culture, see women for the divine doorways that they are, means that we're really missing the mark. How do we express our humanity without our divine doorways? I mean, you can talk about men, and, if women are the doorways, men might be the key, and that bullshit, but that doesn't matter, because women, they are walking constant doorways. Men are just keys. Everyone's on a while and it feels good, right? Women, the human woman creature, or any expression of womanhood, carries the burden of monthly cycles, monthly moon cycles, right? And also that, burden, privilege, whatever you want to call it, of birthing humans into this world. Women are doorways. People with wombs are doorways. The fact that we can't honor that, and the fact that we can't treat that as the most precious resource in this world, blows me away. Absolutely blows me away. And I have been sitting in this space of, Michael energy, the sword energy. The hammer of Thor is the sword of Michael to me. That protecting energy. Well, what the hell is it protecting? Love. Grace. Innocence, vulnerability. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know that energy of the rose, and you know that energy of the thorn that lives within you. Now, you could take this as the ramblings of a madman, if you'd like to. Or you could like to see me do my thing. And that's where the rubber meets the pavement, right? You can have all sorts of people claim all sorts of things that they know about things. I know love. That's what I know. And I can show it to you. Because everything that I do as a medium and everything that I do as a psychic is centered on love. No matter what people might think about me, I know the truth of what I am, what I do, and the love that I do it for. Not preaching any sort of dogma. This is nothing Christian, this is nothing Catholic, this is nothing Greek, this is nothing Egyptian, this is nothing Hindu. This is love. And when we have something to love, we protect it. Now, I think in this world, we have to understand those two different energies and know how to use the thorn to protect the vulnerable and the innocent appropriately, without sacrificing ourselves, without inappropriately getting other people with our thorns, without getting ourselves with our thorns, that sort of thing. When I say that there's tangible evidence, there is absolutely tangible evidence. You carry it inside of you. The truth, though, of what I do is tangible. It is. One of the things that I've come to realize, too, is this. My weird four-leaf clover thing, this is just another tangible evidence of that love of the earth. The love of Big Mama, right? Big Mama. That's what I call her. Big Mama. Big Mama. Big Mama energy. Big Mama love. Grace. Compassion, right? I'm not going to get into any sort of like new age spiritual woo-woo and talk about it being all like lovey-dovey. There is love, but there is the thorn. I know this because I love, and I would have that thorn for the people that I love. Right now, we live in a very weird time with a lot of weird threats, if you will, to our existence and our well-being. It's very important in times of strife that we lean into our spiritual side. That's it. It is. This is what I'd like you to do. If you have any pain, if you have any burdens, think of her as Mary. Think of her as Isis. Think of her as Freya. Think of her as Artemis. Think of her as Hecate. It does not matter. If you have a name for Big Mama, or an iteration or a version of her, pray to her. Light a candle to her. If any of those things don't feel like they jive, and if any of those things don't feel like they call to you, that's perfectly okay. Not any of them are more right than the other. I really think the Mary thing happens because if you look back on historical and archaeological goddess worship of like 30 to 40,000 years ago, we were worshiping the Great Mother as a culture, as a species, long ago. One of the greatest sins that I think ever happened to us is giving the word God a he. Because I don't think that the great creator is a he or a she. I think it's probably both, a little bit of both, what have you. But if I had to give a gender to the Big Bang, I'd call it a big birth, and that kind of feeds into that gender of it, right? That into existence. If any of these names bother you, don't use them. But I would like you to consider this. Say a prayer to the idea of the rose, right? Think of that Big Mother energy. Think of it, and then ask, For that spirit of love, of grace, of divinity, as much as it personifies itself and as much as its power is absolutely incredible beyond comprehension, it is in you, it is a part of you, and you are a part of it. Say a prayer to a rose. That's it. Say a prayer to love and to that big mother energy and see what happens. Lay your burdens down. May or may not work. I've seen miracles. So that's what has happened to me and my path, and that is how I understand the energies of everything that's happening to me. Love and compassion with boundaries. The thorn doesn't do anything unless you try to get through it and cross it. A mother is going to protect their innocent. A father is going to protect their innocent if you cross boundaries. So, light a candle, say a prayer. Say a prayer to love, and remember, consider stopping being your own thorn and give yourself a little bit of that rose energy. Give yourself a little bit of it. I am now sitting in the face of the most miraculous, amazing thing that I have ever gone through. And it has given me purpose and direction, especially in a time when we all need it. So if you've listened this far, I want to thank you. And I just want to invite you to look for the miracles in your life as they present themselves. Take care of yourself.